Got it. Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you. So I just want people can actually feel free to comment or share. Ask some questions to Yen. I think now it's kind of the question and answer time. Uh, okay,
Tien,
everyone. Yeah.
before, feel free to ask any questions, but uh, while we're waiting for the questions, and also from you both as well, I was wondering whether I can take you two and also the people in the chat room through a very short 1 minute kind of
Hmm.
exercise, if you're okay with it.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We can.
So you can keep your eyes open, you can close them if
Hmm.
you want. Take some time, just notice your breath for now, notice how your head is, notice the headphones in your ears, your earbuds, and then slowly just breathe in and out, breathe in and out. And then for your next breath, just take in that breath and channel it through your body down to your diaphragm. Have it radiating through your left arm until your attention comes to the tip of your middle finger. Just think about your left middle finger, not where the nail is, but where the fleshiest part is. Is it touching anything now? You feel the air flowing through it? For those of you looking at your phone, are you using it to support your phone? What does your phone feel like against the tip of your middle finger? Are you moving it? Now take that and then just bring it back. And now I hope that next time when you go to the toilet, my wish for you is to just take a lot of joy, just feeling what is it like against your skin, the air, against your bum, the seat. And when you do your next wipe and fold of the toilet paper, just notice how you tear it, notice how you fold it or crunch it, and then just appreciate that every act that you do just has a space and time.
Hmm.
And in this time during this period where we feel a lot of emotions, we can always come back to this middle finger, to our toilet spaces where we have the most privacy, and to our own bodies as well. And by giving ourselves that space and compassion, maybe we'll be able to have more space to deal with the uncomfortable things around us and more space to think about how other people are going through this period too.
Hmm.
Funny you should say that. Like, um, even before the this whole circuit breaker situation, bathroom time is really a very ritualistic, you know, thing for me.
Mm,
So whatever happens during the day, when
yeah.
you're in that bathroom with yourself and that level of self care that you give to yourself, I think that really, grounds me back to
Mm,
whatever's, you know, to
mm,
a better place, you know, and that
mm,
you can always go back to that. You just feel that, and I don't shower with hot water. I just let the cold water just run through me. Close your eyes, and imagine, like, it's that's what I felt when I was at a waterfall, and just stay in that space. And yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. That it is something you don't think about it, but it is. You know.
mm,
Hmm.
mm.
So
The
wait. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. Yeah. You probably can. No. I just wanted to. I think Isam just said, "Oh, what a beautiful presentation, Yen."
Always, always beautiful.
can I just say that the can I just say that
What? What?
Izam is one of the people who I do look to when it comes to finding sensitivity and intentionality with my own actions, whether whether I'm performing or in just daily life. So I just want to give credit for that as well. And if you notice a lot of, if you do pay attention, a lot of my being drawn to black and white, mostly it's because of my Chinese ink background, but you cannot deny that I'm so drawn to the materiality and the bodiness of Islam's practice as well. There is a relation to it. I think his has a more kind of radiating outwards energy, like the sun, whereas I feel like sometimes with my personality and my materials, it's a little bit more like the awkward classmate who just sits in the corner, or Sadako waiting in the videotape but never comes out of the well and never jumps out at you. She invites you to come into the well, to just be with her dead body. Yeah.
So Izam say, "Oh, stop! Come on! It's not about me. It's your time." So I guess wait, I forgot about that Chinese ink background, right? You mentioned. Yeah. So and just a quick, I'm actually noticed this for the first time I saw it at the open house. I think that's when I saw it. Or the toilet paper series, just using the material. Was that the first time that you've been working on this material?
I think open house, that was 2017. So it was about a year after Bernie saw the my previous works. I think she was drawn to it because of the humor of it. It just felt like cells, and it just felt like cells invading into Rodney's house. And I wanted to kind of really pay attention to not just our bodies as bodies, but our homes as bodies as well, with their own metabolism, the intestines, things that we bring in, and things that we kind of like pass out, not just in the pipes, but if you think about Marie Kondo, which everyone was talking about, it is not just about clearing, it's not one direction. You do think about what comes in and what goes out. And once you've done that 3-month clearing, it doesn't stop there. It's about the life of the house, the continued life of the house. So this period of circuit breaker, I feel like it's not just a circuit breaker for the economy. I feel like it's a circuit breaker for our own habits, for our own bodies. They do say that, this circuit breaker does also break this cycle of the spread of sexually transmitted diseases, for one. What it's broken is my smoking habit as well. So I just drastically cut down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. That you see. Actually, I mean, it's transformative, lah. I mean, the world has changed so much more. We're not sure what it's becoming, but I guess people are just also judging on what's happening. But I mean, what about your practice? Actually, have you been? Do you have a? Actually, maybe a few questions. So maybe let's just start with the work itself, right? That video was part of a performance video, or was that new or something like that? And
It was part of Wu Wei, right?
oh, that was part of Wu Wei. Oh, that was part of the Wu Wei.
The first part.
The first part. Oh, okay. It shows that I cannot remember. I didn't see it. I only saw the first one, which is Veron. Not a long list of artists.
Can I share something very funny about my performance art practice?
Okay, let's.
Most people kind of know me as now. Only the people not in the art world who collect paintings know about my paintings, but otherwise nobody knows about my physical works.
Okay, wait. What about your what works?
Painting.
My paintings, yeah. And I'm happy to have like different sides, because we do live in many worlds now, and we speak to many communities. But for the performance art, community, I never really saw it as part of an arts practice, because I respect performance artists too much their discipline, their rigor, too much to kind of count myself as one. And it was purely accidental because I used to fall asleep everywhere in class and in army. And I used to take people would take pictures of me falling asleep in bus stops, hotel lobbies, weddings, you know. After that, it became a series of other people taking pictures of me sleeping and scolding me to stay awake. And then John Clang saw pictures of me sleeping in public places.
What was that?
And he asked me, like, oh, do you want to do a performance for the opening of 2902 for their show Zoology in their Queen Street space? And asked me to sleep in the gallery opening. And for me, it's just sleeping. I can sleep anywhere. After that, it's even worse. There's this guy called Alan who does weird projects, and I call myself his human pawn. When people say, oh, you performed, you acted, you performed, I was like, no, I didn't perform. It's not my artwork. I was just someone else's human pawn. I just happen to be a human pawn that can follow instructions very well. And also I have a very fierce face. I won't use the word bitch because I don't, it's a funny word lah. I just have default, like, I'm unimpressed. I'm slightly disappointed in you. If I don't smile, my face just looks like that. Imagine the Kulap Zai movies with the caliphate bald guy number 3 with no lines at the back of the poster. I mean, like those Hong Kong gangster caliphate.
Oh, right. Rascals.
Have that face. Yeah. And that is how I got pulled into someone else's art. But then after that, I just felt that I wore these clothes, and actions are clothes, and clothes and behaviors, the more we do it, the more we actually form our view of the world through our actions, through these physical things, and through the very real-time gestures that we do again and again and again. So I try to listen to that. So now, instead of other people being a human pawn for other people, now I try to be sensitive to what or who am I a human pawn to? Is it to my natural animalistic instincts? Is it to office behaviors, other people's learned behaviors? Is it also possibly, am I a human pawn to bigger algorithms? Sean and Ted have talked about things like technology. What I personally feel is that this 90s relationship of the cybernetic human being, Donna Haraway, the machine is not an extension of the human now. Now it's the reverse. Now the human, us, we pretend that we are all individuals. But in fact, we are just flesh appendages to bigger machines, not mechanical ones, but algorithms. They affect the scheduling of people who do waitering jobs. If I don't need you, I'm just going to 2 hours before, I'm just going to tell you, don't come in. It doesn't think about your kid. It looks at planning shift work on factory floors to minimize the risk of riots and disruptions. So they are treating us individuals, and it's no fault of the machines. It's humans who program the machines. But the programmers serve other machines, the logic of the company. Now, if you look at rescue packages, just look at who they try to save first. Talk about, are they saving jobs or are they saving people? Are they saving the shareholders? Who are the sacred cows? Is it the system? Is it the ideology of self-sustaining corporate returns that different governments believe in? Is that the sacred cow we can't kill? Or is it the value of each human being? And they're not mutually exclusive. I do think that I have seen our bureaucracy and our local companies, the family companies, the medium-sized ones, and also the super hardworking bureaucrats. I tell you, if any time has convinced me that Singapore does have social resilience, it is this time. And that's why I need to cut videos because I will just go on and on. So just tell me, Yen, shut up.
No, I totally agree with you, but I don't think it's a problem that came about because of machines. We were already part of the system before. It's just that now,
Yes.
we are so enmeshed in it
Yeah.
that we can't escape.
Yeah.
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 Hey, but I just wanted to sort of also throw back to the work, and maybe what people
Mm.
could also, I think also while we're drawing to the work, I thought I wanted to talk more also about um, that there are some comments online as well. So no, so wait, so the paintings are completely different from the toilet paper paintings in a
Not
way,
exactly,
right?
because the way I
Because I've
approach
never
it.
seen it. Yeah,
Oh,
I've never seen it.
because I don't show it. There's one time I
Okay.
showed it, and then after that,
Okay. Then what
when I
happened?
had a much thinner skin, now I tend to go with the flow, and I embrace, all types of feelings, all types of, sentiments. Like I really want to spend time with how people feel about works, whether they feel uncomfortable, whether they're disconnected, whether they feel joy. I just like that 酸甜苦辣. But back then, I think it was 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Wait, 2006, 2015, no, 2016. Um, someone said to me like, "Oh, they're just pretty," and then those two words. I think because I read it in a funny way, in a cute way, so
Right.
the word "just pretty" just seemed a little bit like, "Oh, I'm a bit disappointed that I wasn't able to communicate the fullness of the material." Because the way I use paintings is in a very gritty manner as well. I do like a lot of glazes, and that, in a sense, when you do glazes, what you're really doing is respecting the level of pigment within the medium. You're not
Hmm.
forcing an image. What you're doing is just atomizing the material altogether.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, just as our bodies are dirt, painting is just colored dirt on support, held together by wooden sticks. That's what
Hmm.
it is. The wooden sticks can be a Chinese scroll stick. The support can be rice paper or linen or duck
Hmm.
cotton. And it's just ground up material which has color. And the
Hmm.
only reason why it has color is because our eyes were designed to see color. So it's still a bodily thing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I always come back to nature, biology, uh, biosemiotics, medical imaging.
Hmm.
That's a different form of abstraction. And I probably won't show my, my paintings anytime soon, but I can tell you guys right now that I'm at this time, at the start, after Singapore Art Week, I was painting spring because I
Spring.
missed, yeah, I missed,
春天.
right,
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
do miss the idea of rhythms. In
Hmm.
Canada, in other places, there are rhythms. You feel time.
Hmm.
Spring passes, winter ends, summer
Hmm.
finishes, and you have to bring all
Oh,
the deck chairs in. You make sure
is
you
it?
spend time. Yeah. Whereas in
Yeah.
Singapore, it just goes on and on. What is it
Right.
marked by? Public holidays. Oh, we negotiate a public holiday for these racial groups. That's how we mark time, by
Hmm.
calendar, not
Hmm.
by the way we live.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. But
And
what do you think? So that means that what we're saying, what I'm understanding from this is that the painting has some kind of relation, well, have a separate life on its own. Would it be fair to say that? Or
yes,
you do see
yes.
them? Okay. All right.
It's
Hmm.
very separate. If there's any seed for anything, is that both of my parents deal with living things. My dad works in an actual farm,
Hmm.
so chili, durian, coffee, and then my mom worked with like the fish, so the ornamental fish before all the orchid
Oh.
farms, before all the farms are all chased away to Johor and to Southeast
Hmm.
Asia. So
Hmm.
it's all about dirt. But at the same time, it's all about the control of that dirt as well. So if
Hmm.
you ask my dad, it's never about jungle nature. It's all about plant nature. gardening, plantations. If you ask my mom, it's about controlling the science between breeding of certain fish. How do you control the genetics? How do you get them to have more babies? How do you make sure the moms don't eat the babies when they're born? All the while learning how to speak Hokkien, you know,
Oh wow, really? What, to the fish?
with the other farmers. With the
Oh,
other,
right. Oh, I
yeah.
see. I see. Yeah. I, I think there is a question from Ted. I think
Mm,
from a non-artist.
mm,
Uh,
mm.
why do Yen say that toilet paper sculpture is not considered as artwork for him, even though it was displayed as one? Well, that's not a bad question.
I think it's a great question. I like to look at the way you phrase that question. That it is not considered. I would kind of reframe that and say it doesn't have to be considered an artwork. When I make it, I don't have to be thinking about making art.
Mm,
I can think about making, I can bake a cake for you and I can think about you without thinking about being a Michelin star, without thinking about the idea of
mm,
baking and the culinary arts. It's the simple act of putting flour, sugar, butter together to make
mm,
something that will go into your stomach. So it's pure relation. So whether I give you a fresh roll of toilet paper because I know you ran out of it in the next store, and then they forgot to reload the toilet paper roll, and then I hand it next to you, you know. Or I give you a piece which has color in it because I know it makes you smile and it makes you think about your world and it communicates to you what I think about the world. Maybe we can talk about it like that,
mm,
about relation, without the art having the ego so that we are
mm,
servants to
mm,
ideas of taste, ideas of what is good, what is bad. Maybe we can ask ourselves, what is the relation between me and the object? And then when we start to think about that, moving away from the idea of artwork, then we can create the space for pure sensing. You just say, Veron, I'm seeing two straps, asymmetrical, comfort, movement, a beautiful color behind you.
mm,
And then I don't have to judge. I can just be with. And that's just me. There is a use of judgment because I feel that judgments cuts short a lot of unnecessary things. It's very efficient. I also think that there's room for having the space before we get to that judgment. And I think that is a beautiful space. And the judgment that will come when it comes. I don't need to force the judgment. Is it an artwork? Is it a good artwork? That will
mm,
come. That will naturally come. But can we ask ourselves, what is it? How is it? How is it made?
mm,
Who
I
is the
remember
person? Yeah.
that I remember we had a conversation once, and you mentioned to me that actually every artwork is really just a snapshot of where that artist is at that moment. And I've always remembered that and felt that yes, I think the treasures are not the art, okay, not the work, not the production, but it's actually the person itself, and we are watching the person and the progression and the journey that that artist is taking us, and not
mm,
really focusing of course we look at the art and we analyze it, but it's that journey, it's that process that is truly interesting. And every artwork is where you see something about where that artist is at, and especially in performance in itself, because sometimes the artwork, it's there, the
Yeah.
painting or whatever, it's opaque and you can't, you have to have a certain knowledge to access it. But when you see performance, right, okay,
Yeah.
where that person is at, that the growth that the person have gone through. There's so much you can glean out of that, those simple actions that you do, and that is the amazing part about art to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Thanks for sharing that. And I still before maybe the three of us respond to Shu Fang. I just want to acknowledge that what you said. Thanks for reminding me of that because it still holds true for me. The reason why I do projects is not because I want to produce a nice show. I don't give a damn about producing things. I've told the NEC this as well. I tell you, don't call me a fucking shit. I'm so sorry. I said fuck and shit in the same sentence. I'm so sorry. No more
It's
monetization.
okay. We just become M21 according to Sean.
I'm so sorry. But
IMDA, sorry.
When there's a reporter that used the C word, curator, I accidentally punched him quite hard. I'm just instinctual, just boom, shoulder, and then he went ow, and I said, I'm so sorry, but it just makes me cringe because what this is a more personal reason. When I get to work with younger artists, it is about being with them, being with who they are, being with how they work. Rather than doing an interview and writing an article, it's just being with someone. And the same with actually tending to a show, it's being with the people who come to see it. Being with, the first time I met you, Tien and Jennifer, was when we were at my granddad's place with the dry ice, and that was the strongest sense of just being together. We don't need to make art. We can be together and have life happen. And if you want to call it art, that is very useful. Just like medical diagnosis in the DSM-5 is useful. But any psychiatrist will tell you that the diagnosis is not a definition of reality. A diagnosis is just a guide to ethical and effective action. It doesn't define reality. Calling art doesn't make it art. Letting it be and appreciating it in the language of art gives it more life, but it doesn't have to be only art. And to come to your question, Shu Fang, I do love your question. I feel that I just tend to have a more kind of gracious openness and an apolitical stance to the idea of nature and nurture and planning and letting things happen. Noting that now we're also thinking about epigenetics, so a lot of things that we do, which we think are conscious, are actually not conscious at all. Sometimes you do the same thing and you work on nature the same way. It's because of past traumas of previous generations in your parents' time. So if you look at the damn potato and you suddenly want to collect a lot of potatoes and have so many potatoes that you cannot eat in your house because it spoils and you throw it away and you grow more in your house and you hoard plants or what. It could be because your previous generations went through a war. It could be because your previous generations were slaves and food has certain meaning to you. It could be your relationship with nature where they did find that joy in nature as well. Now the idea of control of nature, once again, there's nothing wrong with that because abstraction is just a way of working through life with more efficiency. And then after that, we step back and we ask ourselves, when we abstract the body into X-rays, MRI scans, if we abstract nature into a grid formation of European-style garden planning, what are we looking at then? What is the life of a garden? What is the life of the gardens in Singapore? Are they based on scheduled prunings by NParks? If you ask the curators there, they will tell you that they do see both sides, the abstracted side of nature and also the lived side of people, how we cut the trees, the Bangladeshi workers, how we don't deploy them as much now because of COVID, through changing conditions in the sun, the rain, the migratory birds. Everything is seen together in many layers. So I wouldn't have such strong demarcations between nature, nurture, artificial, and biological. That I realize that the time is running out, but I just want to sneak this one thing in before we, just in case we're switching over to Sean. It's like, hey, Sean, thanks so much for all your comments before, every time you comment on anything, it wakes me up. I tell you, it wakes me up. And then I've been listening to your things lately. And one thing which I really appreciate is that it has made me a little bit more sensitive to how policies which are planned to be implemented equally and consistently do have very unequal and sometimes inequitable effects on different people based on factors not within their control. And the things that you share do give me a better understanding of their own personal experience and an urgency of what we who do have a bit of privilege can do about it. So thanks, Sean. Thanks.
Okay. I think he's somewhere at the backstage, but I think he should hear that. But I thought that there should be two things that we probably will need to cover in this question. So you were reading something, a letter of some sort
Yes.
in the video. What's the connection between the letter and the work? And then two, I think you mentioned or you shared this thing about whether the question was can touch or not touch. I think you kind of touched on on answering that on maybe what art is, right? So maybe the question more would be more like, or maybe a very very basic question is why the material of why do you choose the material of toilet paper as a medium? Because it is cheap.
Because it was
Is it very cheap? NTUC Thursday very 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 cheap to buy, no?
He did
No
talk
lah,
about
just do you talk about cheap? No.
no,
there
not
there was the personal aspects, but if there are other aspects as well, because it just makes me laugh and laugh and laugh, laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh.
Oh,
And then
really?
once I stop laughing, then I realized that there's actually something quite beautiful about the material. When you use something which is as iconic as toilet paper, you have to be sensitive to the baggage that it comes with. It's been used. It's been painted by Richter. It's connected with anything scatological. It almost has a kind of like I laugh at your face type of irreverence. You know, like the urinal. Anything related to the toilet, it's related to scatological issues, which is not comfortable. If you have an artist who types, on toilet paper, that shows that sends a very different message. So you have to just be very sensitive. The more iconic your material is, the more carefully you have to treat it. And you can laugh as much as you want, but you have to treat the materials with so much respect. And almost bend to your materials. Do not use the toilet paper. Let the toilet paper use you. And that's what I mean about sensitivity. When you're in your toilet and you think about how your toilet paper is designed, how it's designed will affect your movements, your actions, your choices, the speed with which you clean your backside, how fast and how slow you do it. Do you pay attention to it, or do you trust the toilet paper itself? Do you use it for other things? Whatever object is in front of us, that controls us as much as we use it. And that comes a lot from really respecting things. I think in terms of, for example, the earliest strands of Taoism, before divinational, before the deities came out, you really got this respect for things, for wood. If you turn a tree into a boat, really feel that boat, really feel that the boat was once a tree. When you wake up in the morning, just think about the shoes that you put on, just think about the comb in your hair, just think about the robes. And there's no other place to be alone than when you're sitting in the toilet bowl, except that we don't pay attention. But even if we go in with our screens, maybe we can start to pay attention to that as well. Maybe set a screen timer, maybe think about how you hold your phone, maybe think about the possible germs that will get on it when you flush, and the plume of water vapors with the germs will get on your hands and your phone. And think about whether you sanitize your phone. Think about whether you sweat on your phone because your bathroom is so hot, so you're sweating
think
while
about
using
that
your
all the
phone.
time now with COVID-19.
Yeah.
I'll be like, ew, yeah.
And when I downplay, when I really downplay ourselves as artists, this is not 谦虚. This is not erasing the human being. This is giving us a bigger responsibility and a bigger capacity by elevating other objects. And the objects can be systems, can be relations, to the same level, to know that just as Sartre said, hell is other people, heaven can be other people as well. So I really believe in that sense of knowing myself in this world as an artist. I cannot be here without you. Like some people can. Some people will say the objective is, oh shit, I will stop doing this philosophy thing. I'll shut up about that.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
And
don't worry. It's very
just,
free. Yeah. But I think aside from that, we are governed by time.
Yes.
Because we keep thinking that we need to keep our. But thank you, Yen. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for joining us, Veron, and interacting. Well, now your new studio is very good, Veron. Very blue.
It's just a blank wall.
Just a blank wall. Okay. Hey, but thanks a lot. I thought that, but the last part that you didn't tell us. So, what's the relationship with the letter reading and actually the video actually? And that would be the last.
This is one secret which I'll share with you and anyone watching, which is anytime you see me do a talk, whether it's a more instructional one for Michael Lee had a series of artists giving talks or TEDx youth talk, I always draft it based on me talking to only one person. So all my collaterals in my exhibitions, they're all written only for one person and one very specific person. And by paying attention to what I say to that one person and really give space for that, then it'll be welcoming and maybe allow everyone in. Whereas if I try to talk to everyone and say, I'm talking to like a group of people and giving a walking tour to 15 people, that doesn't work for me. I need to talk to one person. And that one person can be someone in the group, can be you, can be Veron, or it can be someone who I was talking to before I express it to the person not in the group. So the letter writing is just a way for me to connect with the audience by connecting to one single person.
Okay, I see. But I mean, then the relationship to the work, it's not directly related, but it's kind of just moving around, right? Kind of dialogical in some way. Because I thought it was quite, it actually was quite effective. Yeah, it's an interesting experience.
This is me now I try not to think at all. I try not to think too hard. So if I do write things, it's not because I'm thinking about it. It's because I figured, I think I just breathe the written word and the spoken word. So I don't question it. I don't try to see how it fits into anything else. I just kind of go, it's a bit of my air and it doesn't have to fit. And if it doesn't fit, then the space between it not fitting with the other thing is actually quite nice to be in. So, and not being fake humble about things and not being arrogant, to just kind of say, how do I just respect words because they give me life? Yeah.
Okay. Hey, but thank you so much, Yen. I'm gonna bring Sean at the back. But there are two questions.
There was another question.
There are two questions. I think there was this question. Oh no,
Celine.
Can I?
You want to take that before bringing Sean on?
I would really like to, because I also really want to hear Sean. What I can offer to do for you all is to type the responses in the comment section. How does that sound?
No, it's okay. You can also just take a quick minute to address. I think I'll put 3 questions. There's only 2 questions.
Okay. Okay, quick lightning round. What are the 2 questions? How do you conceive of freedom these days?
Yeah, then Izam also say every material object. Do you see that? Maybe that's a comment.
Oh, that's a comment. So only one question. Only Celine's question. Hello, Celine. Yes. Thank you so much. Because of you, now I feel like I'm confident enough to go through Vipassana, whereas before I was so scared about it, but I haven't gone through it yet. To answer your question, freedom of these days, I go back to Isaiah Berlin's. This is not a joke. I got hospitalized because I thought too much about Isaiah, but like mental institution, you're a danger to yourself, crying in the corridor, because I was thinking too hard about Isaiah Berlin's conception of positive and negative freedom. And then they just freaked the hell out, and I had my first existential crisis. And the first time I was hospitalized for in an acute section for 1 whole month, and then I didn't know that I couldn't be let out. And that's when I picked up smoking, because there was nothing else to do. There was no TV, no things to read, so you just smoke. Now I'm cutting down smoking. So freedom, in terms of freedom now, I would say don't even think about it. Just think about relation. And what I mean by that is I believe in negative freedom. Freedom insofar as you don't hurt other people. Don't think about it. Positive freedom, I do anything what I fucking want. That leads to the worst atrocities. People getting killed, Holocaust, genocide, because my freedom to express I'm better than anyone else. And then all of you can go and die. So negotiation, relation, negative freedom, what can you do within your ambit, which you create between yourselves and other people? That's valuable and real and lasting freedom.
Okay. Thank you, Yen. Okay.
Thanks.
I'm going to bring... Hey, thanks for coming on to the show. Stay safe. Stay healthy, everyone. Okay. So
Bye,
I'll
Yen.
bring Sean back in, and then we'll continue from there. And